I was 20 when my mother remarried, bringing Samuel into our lives. Samuel was a kind and patient man with a warm, inviting presence that made everyone feel at ease. With his gentle smile and thoughtful demeanour, he quickly became a comforting figure in our household. My mother, a successful journalist, often had to travel for work, leaving Samuel and me to manage things at home. Initially, it felt strange having him around. I was used to having the house to myself when my mother was away, but Samuel made every effort to make the transition smooth. He respected my space and my routines, always asking before making any changes. We began to bond over simple things like cooking dinner together or watching our favourite TV shows. Samuel would often share stories from his past, his travels, and his experiences, making our conversations engaging and enjoyable. As time went on, Samuel became more than just my stepfather. He was someone I could rely on, someone who genuinely cared about my well-being. He was always there to listen when I needed to talk about school, friends, or the challenges of growing up. His advice was always thoughtful, and he had a way of making me feel understood and valued. One evening, while my mother was away on a long business trip, Samuel suggested we try making a new recipe he had found. We spent the evening in the kitchen, laughing and experimenting with different ingredients. The meal turned out to be a success, and as we sat down to eat, I felt a deep sense of connection and contentment. After dinner, we moved to the living room to watch a movie. Wrapped in a cozy blanket, we settled on the couch, the soft glow of the TV casting a warm light across the room. As the movie played, I felt a growing sense of closeness to Samuel, a bond that went beyond the typical stepfather-stepdaughter relationship. In the following weeks, this bond only grew stronger. We shared more about our lives, our dreams, and our fears. Samuel opened up about his past, his aspirations, and I found myself doing the same. It was comforting to have someone to confide in, someone who understood me in a way that few others did. One particularly rainy night, I came home feeling overwhelmed by a tough day at university. Samuel was already there, a cup of hot tea waiting for me. He could see the stress etched on my face and immediately offered to listen. We sat on the couch, the sound of rain tapping against the windows, and I poured out my frustrations. Samuel listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and understanding. His calm demeanour helped me feel more at ease, and I was grateful for his unwavering support. That night, something shifted between us. There was a newfound closeness, a deeper connection that neither of us could ignore. It was as if the barriers that had kept us at a comfortable distance had dissolved, leaving us more aware of the bond we shared. As we continued to spend time together, this connection only grew stronger. We found ourselves gravitating towards each other, seeking out moments to share and enjoy. The lines between family and friendship blurred, and I began to see Samuel in a different light. One evening, after a long day, we sat on the porch watching the sunset. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around us. We talked about everything and nothing, our conversation flowing effortlessly. At one point, Samuel reached out and gently took my hand. The touch was innocent, yet it sent a jolt of electricity through me. I looked at him, and in his eyes, I saw a reflection of the feelings I had been trying to ignore. It was a mix of care, concern, and something deeper, something neither of us had been willing to acknowledge until that moment. From that evening on, our relationship changed. We became more aware of each other, more attuned to the subtle shifts in our interactions. There was a tension, a charged energy that seemed to build with each passing day. We tried to keep things normal, to maintain the status quo, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. One night, while my mother was away on a weekend trip, Samuel and I decided to watch a new series we had both been eager to see. As the episodes played, we found ourselves sitting closer, our shoulders touching. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken words and unacknowledged feelings. During a particularly emotional scene, I glanced at Samuel and saw a tear roll down his cheek. Without thinking, I reached out and wiped it away. Our eyes met, and in that moment, everything changed. The barriers we had carefully constructed came crashing down. We both knew we had crossed a line, but neither of us could bring ourselves to stop. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. We tried to talk about what had happened, but words seemed inadequate. There was a mix of guilt, confusion, and undeniable attraction that neither of us knew how to handle. We decided to take some time apart, hoping to gain clarity and perspective, but the distance only made our feelings more intense. We couldn't stay away from each other, and soon we found ourselves drawn back together, unable to resist the pull. My mother remained unaware of the growing tension between us, her busy schedule keeping her occupied, but I knew it was only a matter of time before she noticed. The secret we were keeping was becoming too heavy to bear, and I was torn between my loyalty to her and my feelings for Samuel. One evening, as the sun set and the house was bathed in a soft golden light, Samuel and I sat down to talk. We knew we couldn't keep going like this, that we had to make a decision. The conversation was long and difficult, filled with tears and heartache. We both knew what we had to do, but it didn't make it any easier. We agreed that Samuel would move out for a while, giving us both space to process our emotions and figure out the next steps. The goodbye was painful, but necessary. As he left, I felt a profound sense of loss, but also a glimmer of hope. The following weeks were some of the hardest of my life. The house felt emptier without Samuel, and I missed our conversations, our shared moments. But I knew that this time apart was essential for both of us. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself from the aching void his absence had left. During this time, I also reconnected with friends, seeking their support and understanding. They helped me see things from different perspectives, offering advice and comfort. Slowly, I began to find my footing again. Samuel and I kept in touch, our conversations tentative at first, but gradually growing more open and honest. We talked about our feelings, our regrets, and our hopes for the future. It was a painful process, but it was also healing. Through our conversations, we both realized that our bond was too strong to simply walk away from. We decided to seek counseling, both individually and together, to navigate the complex emotions we were experiencing. The therapy sessions were challenging, forcing us to confront our fears and vulnerabilities, but they also brought clarity and understanding. As we worked through our issues, we began to see a path forward. We knew it wouldn't be easy, that we would face judgment and difficult conversations, but we also knew that our relationship, whatever form it took, was worth fighting for. One afternoon, several months later, Samuel and I sat on a park bench, the autumn leaves swirling around us. We had come a long way since that first night on the porch, and our connection had only deepened. We talked about the future, about the possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. And for the first time, we felt a sense of peace. We had faced our fears, our mistakes, and our doubts, and we had come out stronger on the other side. As we sat there, watching the world go by, I knew that no matter what happened, we would face it together. Our journey was far from over, but we were ready for whatever came next. Over the following months, Samuel and I worked diligently to rebuild our lives. We focused on healing individually and together, ensuring that our relationship was based on mutual respect and understanding. My mother eventually noticed the changes in our dynamic, and we decided to have an open and honest conversation with her. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but I knew it was necessary. We sat down together one evening, and with Samuel by my side, I explained everything to her. She listened in silence, her expression a mixture of shock, hurt, and confusion. When we finished, there was a long, heavy silence. Then, with a trembling voice, she asked us how we planned to move forward. We explained our decision to seek counselling and our commitment to being honest and transparent. My mother took some time to process everything. There were moments of anger, tears, and difficult conversations, but eventually she came to see that our intentions were genuine, that we were committed to making things right. Her acceptance and willingness to support us, despite the pain we had caused, was a testament to her strength and love. Samuel and I continued our counselling sessions, and slowly but surely, our relationship began to take on a new form. It wasn't easy, and there were many moments of doubt and fear, but through it all, we remained committed to each other and to the process of healing. We learned to communicate openly, to respect each other's boundaries, and to build a foundation of trust and love. As time went on, our bond grew stronger, not despite our challenges, but because of them. We found a new sense of purpose and clarity in our relationship. We also worked to rebuild our family dynamic with my mother, creating new traditions and finding ways to support each other. One evening, as we all sat together around the dinner table, I felt a sense of peace and gratitude wash over me. We had come a long way, and while there were still challenges ahead, I knew we would face them together. Samuel and I continued to grow as individuals and as a couple. We pursued our passions, supported each other's dreams, and created a life filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. We also took time to reflect on the lessons we had learned, ensuring that we never took our relationship or our family for granted. As the years went by, our bond only deepened. We celebrated each other's successes, supported each other through hardships, and always found a way to come back to the love that had brought us together. Our journey was far from perfect, but it was ours, and it was beautiful in its own way. Looking back, I realized that the challenges we faced had only made us stronger. We had built a relationship based on honesty, trust, and unwavering support, and in the end, that was all that mattered. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I turned to Samuel and smiled. "We've come a long way," I said softly. He nodded, his eyes filled with warmth and love. "Yes, we have," he replied, "and I wouldn't change a thing." As we sat there, hand in hand, I knew that no matter what the future held, we would face it together. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had brought us to a place of deep connection and understanding, and for that, I was eternally grateful. Our journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had brought us to a place of deep connection and understanding, and for that, I was eternally grateful. As the years continued to pass, Samuel and I grew even closer. We faced every challenge with determination and supported each other through every hardship. Our bond was unbreakable, built on a foundation of trust, love, and mutual respect. We found joy in the simple moments of life, walking in the park, cooking dinner together, and spending quiet evenings on the porch. One significant moment came when we decided to expand our family. After much thought and discussion, we chose to adopt a child. The process was long and often challenging, but we remained hopeful and determined. When we finally brought our daughter Emma home, it was the most joyous day of our lives. She brought a new light into our home, and we loved her deeply. Raising Emma together strengthened our bond even more. We worked as a team, supporting each other as we navigated the challenges and joys of parenthood. Samuel was an incredible father, patient and loving, always there for both of us. My mother, who had come to accept and support our relationship, was overjoyed to welcome Emma into the family. She became a doting grandmother, and our family gatherings were filled with laughter and love. We created new traditions, celebrating holidays and milestones with a sense of unity and happiness. Over the years, we watched Emma grow, cherishing every moment. We supported her dreams and encouraged her to be herself. Our home was a place of love and acceptance, and Emma thrived in that environment. As we grew older, Samuel and I continued to support each other. We faced the inevitable health challenges of aging, but we did so with the same determination and love that had carried us through so many years. Our love remained strong, a constant source of strength and comfort. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Emma joined us. Now a young woman, she sat between us, her presence a reminder of the beautiful journey we had shared. We talked about the future, about the dreams we still had, and the memories we cherished. Samuel took my hand and smiled. "We've built a wonderful life together," he said softly, "and it's all been worth it." I nodded, my heart full of gratitude and love. "Yes, it has," I replied. "I wouldn't change a thing." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over our home, I felt a profound sense of peace. Our journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been filled with love, growth, and countless beautiful moments. We had built a life together that was rich and meaningful, and I was grateful for every part of it. As we sat there, Hand in hand, I knew that no matter what the future held, we would face it together. Our love had weathered many storms and had grown stronger with each one. We had built a family and a life that was filled with love and joy, and for that, I was eternally grateful.